Good morning, everybody, and delighted to be back at this workshop. Fantastic workshop last year, so thanks again to Peggy and to Emerson for organising. My name's Ita Richardson. I'm from LERO, the Irish Software Research Centre at the University of Limerick in Ireland. And today I wanted to talk about our online teaching. As we know, particularly because of COVID-19 and the pandemic, we've been kind of driven into online teaching over the last number of months. Some of us had been moving towards blended learning maybe, but this has really leapfrogged us into a space that we do have to really be giving some thought, both from a teaching perspective, but also from the fact that we're actually doing online materials. And for us in Europe, that means that we need to consider the European Union Accessibility Directive. Now, we may have different thoughts about directives, but I suppose what I feel about them is that somebody has gone to the effort to put everything that's needed, in this case around accessibility, into one particular place. The difficulty is how do we actually make that usable for us as teachers? And that's something I think is definitely worth thinking about. So just a little bit of background. So we have the directive from the European Parliament on the accessibility of websites and mobile applications of public sector bodies. So again, in our particular situation, the university sector within Ireland is considered public sector. So therefore this directive is, we have to implement it, but I still think that there's a lot within this that others should be thinking about. So I've just highlighted some of the important things in the extract from the introduction. So basically it's saying that public sector bodies take the necessary measures to make their websites and mobile applications more accessible by making them perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. So I'm going to give a bit of background to this. So as part of the COVID-19 effort within Ireland, there has been a COVID tracker app developed, which is used across the island, supported by the Health Services Executive. So this is our available COVID tracker app for people. We then, within LERO, a group of us from the University of Limerick and the National University of Ireland in Galway, received funding to work on a project called CoVigilant. And what CoVigilant is trying to do is trying to see if the COVID tracker, like what would be the perfect COVID tracker app? So could it be used, for example, to change behavior of people? But in doing that type of study, we also have to look at the medical side, how useful it is, and also then looking at our usability and accessibility. So we've set up a project team to work particularly on tracker apps. Within that work, I was actually tasked with looking at the Accessibility Directive and how this accessibility directive should be taken into account, because our Health Services Executive, again, is a public services body. And at one level, it's about doing what's right within the public service, but the reality is it's doing what's right to make our things accessible, our materials accessible. And in doing the work that we've done, we could see, because again, the project team, researchers and academics could actually see how this is very important for our teaching, not only just for the COVID Tracker app. So what we did was we looked at the EU standard. It is not a small standard, it's 152 pages. And we reduced this to 21 questions that we hope will be useful to people who are developing software and making it accessible. Now, in the reduction to 21 questions, obviously we haven't got it perfect, but we've got some things that are actually thought-provoking and should make us sit back and think, can we actually implement this standard? So from a teaching perspective, this is really important. So what did we do? So the first researcher, me, extracted the relevant requirements from the European standard EN 301549. Second researcher, Damianka, whose background is in usability, checked these against the standard and specific of the web content accessibility guidelines, again available through the European Union, and formulated these into 29 questions. I then took these and consolidated them into 21 questions. And then we had a third researcher, Jim Buckley, who reviewed the questions in discussion with me, ensuring that they could be understood and measured. So we did quite a structured assessment of the standard. And obviously, as I say, getting it to 21 question means that we have left out things, but we've tried to consolidate them in such a way to try and make sure that lots is included. And I suppose if we get this lots included, at least then it's a strong move in the right direction. Excuse me. So what I've done is I've taken the 21 questions, put them on the slides, which are available, but I will just talk to some of them, the ones that are highlighted on each slide. So the first one here is, are there modes of operation and features which make the technology simple and easy to use by individuals with limited cognitive, language and learning abilities? So are we thinking outside the box about the type of user that we have using? So again, coming to our classes, have we got people who've got some sort of a limited cognitive ability? How do we make our materials available to those individuals? Second one, if a particular user has to use a particular accessibility feature, will the technology maintain that user's privacy? Or is there extra data kept? If there's extra data stored, where is it stored? Who is it available to? How do they know that their privacy is maintained, even though they're using a different technology, possibly to other people in the class? Is non-visual access, such as the audio form, including speech, or a tactile form available, allowing interaction with the suggested content without using a keyboard? So again, thinking about our lecturing, are we actually asking questions? Do we expect multiple choice to be answered by clicking the X on the keyboard? Maybe somebody can say 4, and we're using voice activation. So we do need to think about what are the other ways of doing things so that our students can interact. Does the technology support user to access the information and carry out the task without the use of hearing and speech? So in a way, that's nearly the opposite. So are there other ways that they can actually do this? Can they use touch screen? Can we provide pictures? Can we provide videos? Can we give the information in a different way? You'll see my presentation is practically completely in text. So am I being accessible for the output? Possibly not. Have sensory components such as shape, color, size, visual location, orientation, or sound been integrated into the design? So are we thinking again outside the box? Are there other ways of us getting our information across to our audience and to our students? And how can we make that happen within our own technology that we're developing? Is there something in place to notify users when making a change in the interface? So we've got a very specific interface. People are used to using that interface. But can we actually, if we make a change, what is the format for letting people know that the interface has actually changed? And the final one I want to mention is, do ICT support services accommodate effective communication needs to individuals with disabilities? Like, what set of services should we provide if we are doing things differently? So again, in our university, we would have a very good disability support service where they do have access through various materials. So are we thinking about how those are linked in to our teaching materials? So really, in summary, we need to consider accessibility in the world of online teaching, ensuring that technology is an enabler for everyone rather than being a barrier to particular vulnerable groups, which it can so easily become. So just to say, the work was partially supported by Science Foundation Ireland through LERO and through the Covigilant grant. And here is the project team that are involved in Covigilant. And we also have it in the Lero technical report. Thank you.